Happy Saturday. Thanks everybody for stopping by. Got about 25 people hanging out in here, so I think it should be pretty cool, to check out. And we'll talk about discrete diodes. And this is coming from my video that I did earlier this week where Cree did some testing with some discrete diodes of theirs, and they put it up against the Gavita. And it was a 25-minute video. Almost 2,000 people saw it. I don't know how far they got into it. I know, you know how it is, man. 25-minute videos, you're like, just give me the fucking takeaway already. But let's go ahead and let's push over to that document, and we won't spend too much time on it because you can go back and watch this 25-minute video. But what I'll try to do here is just give you the baseline. So this is coming from Cree. And this is the kind of deal that, take it for what it's worth. This is a company that wants to sell you diodes, but they're also a really credible company. So they did a little study, 1,000 watts worth of Gavita, running at the 1,000 watt setting, not the 1150, which I've come to understand now. You guys are great, man. You guys out there that are commenting, you guys are great, because I think my tone in the video was like, sometimes you can't control your tone and you don't realize it until after you put out the video that I was dogging on Cree for not turning it up to 1150. And it sounded like that. I didn't really mean it like that. I think that came from an emotional place where I wanted to see what the pinnacle of powerful grow lights, a Gavita double-ended 1150 would do against LED, because that question comes up 3 times a day in my life, or at least 12 times a week. So, but I think the goal here, and I think the experiment was good. What's the industry standard? It is 1,000 watt. A lot of guys are running Gavitas now, but I think if you took it pound for pound, most people are running Thowies. So I think the experiment was useful, and I think it was good. 1,000 watts per 4x4 is a good experiment. So I wanted to talk about discrete diodes. You guys all know I'm a COB guy, and I love COBs and the simplicity and the ease of COBs. But discrete diodes offer some advantages too from a manufacturing perspective. So I wanted to get into it. And I want to just talk about some companies that are using discrete diodes, and we can see if we can dive into some of the spreadsheets and some of the spec sheets on some of these discrete diodes. So what I'd like to do is take just a quick second to some lights here that we can talk about. I've got my canopy fixture that I'm in the process of building, that I probably should be building right now and not talking and chilling. But I love you guys, man. You guys are cool as shit. Everybody, I get some thumbs down. I try not to get too butthurt about the dislikes. Everybody gets them, but I'd say 99% of you guys are super fucking chill. All you want is the truth, man. You're going to open your wallet and buy a grow light and buy stuff. You just want to know if it's decent or good. You're so tired of the marketing hype and all the lies and all the smoke and mirrors and the apples to oranges comparison. I'm tired of it too. And so I think everybody that comes to this channel is just looking for some truth. And that's all I'm trying to do. So soapbox moment over. So what we're going to do today, I got the Canopy 10 in the background just to use as a reference, COBs and discrete diodes. I've got my BML Spider 600 that has a fresh coat of paint on the inside, and we'll talk about Fluence bioengineering. I see Greengene. Hey, Gene, I see he's in the chat, and I don't know what your schedule is like, but I don't really know if I'm qualified to talk about Apache AT600 and other products too much. I was going to reference them as like one of the OG discrete diode, high quality discrete diode people. So if you would like to pop in and chat about Apache or anything else, feel free, brother. It's been a long time. I'd love to chop it up with you, and 2 voices are always better than 1. So we'll get into it. We'll look real quick at Cree's. They finally put out the information directly. The information that we over on Roll It Up have been basically, not we, I've just been citing other people, but the high-end guys, the guys that really know lighting, these guys have been theorizing these efficacy numbers, these wall plug efficiency numbers for all these diodes, and they've been pretty accurate. And as of recently, Cree started to put out horticultural reference stuff. And you guys saw the document I went over, but they've also listed some diodes that they qualify as horticultural diodes, and they've actually put out their numbers, integrated sphere numbers. So let's take a look at that really quick. Horticult, you're all diodes. Sorry for not having this pulled up. I have like 9 windows going right now. Where's their? Here we go. Cree LEDs for horticultural applications. So let's see. I think you can see that fairly well on the screen. Let's see. Let's catch up on house. Roll it up in the house. Yes, rollitup.org is the place where the real work is going down. Obviously, LED companies are doing their own R&D and testing, but roll it up, guys. I mean, I love Grass City. I love IC Mag. I love a lot of other forums. But when it comes to really pushing the boundaries and innovating on the DIY side, roll it up is just where you have to be. It's where you go to learn. And I got little time, Gene says, and have my mic if you need me. Yeah, dude, if you want to pop in, I'll have to figure out how to Google Plus you, Gene. Okay, just a second. So yeah, dude, roll it up. That's the place to be. That's where you want to do your LED research. And that's where you want to ask your questions about configuring your room and configuring your DIY builds. And you're always welcome to ask me and Gene and others on the YouTube channels and stuff. But so real quick, let's look at these Cree diodes. Let's look at these discrete diodes. But before we do that, let's talk about COBs real quick. And why COBs are better for the at-home DIYer. It's because you get 137 diodes in one chip with one positive and negative, and you get about the best efficacy that you can get out of an LED at a soft current. Although a lot of the efficacy numbers, like micromole per joule numbers, they're theorized numbers. They're numbers that are based off of calculations from people at home, and I can't wait for Cree to come out with their integrated sphere numbers. But we have some numbers here for some of the really common diodes. The XPE is probably what you guys are familiar with seeing in the colored diodes, the blues, the reds, 660s, 450s, stuff like that. And here's their wall plug efficiency. So when you add deep reds to a fixture, a DIY build like I have, I'm taking a 56% efficient build, and I'm adding a percentage of wattage to it at 48% efficient. So it's not going to break records at 48%, but I'm using, let's see, maybe 60 watts worth of deep red at 48% efficient. So I'm not really crushing my efficiency, wall plug efficiency, but I am lowering it some. So that is definitely a drawback to like adding monos to a COB build. But the efficacy, 1.91 micromoles per joule, is very good, and it's very respectable, and that just comes from 1 watt red LED diode having more photons per watt than a 1 watt green or blue or whatever. But what really impressed me, and I haven't looked at it until really until this week, is the XPG3. So you guys are probably familiar with the XPG2. It's in a lot of fixtures. It's in like Ameritech's fixtures, et cetera. And the XPG3 kind of started hitting the streets recently, last month or so, and they're still not up on a lot of websites. Nobody has them in stock, really, that I know of, but they are out. And that's how Cree is, man. CXBs were out, golly, what was it, 4 months before you could actually really get your hands on them, unless you knew somebody or had an inside track. But wall plug efficiency of 55%, and a max current of 2,000 milliamps, which gives you a lot more flexibility when it comes to integrating them into COB fixtures and integrating them into higher current builds like 1050 builds, 1,400 milliamp, and 1750 milliamp builds. And, when you have a little bit of extra voltage on your driver, and you want to push that 90% driver utilization up to 95% or whatever, it's really hard to find a little diode to put in there to soak up that extra juice. And so the XPG3 might be a really good solution for us DIY guys, because we have to make a decision. Are we going 3K? Are we going 3500? Are we going 4K? And inside of that, what CRI are we going for? So this allows you a little flexibility where if you're skeptical still about 3500 being red enough, add some 3000 Kelvin XPG3s, 55% wall plug efficiency, 2.34 micromoles per joule, 2.45 fucking micromoles per joule efficacy. Hey, you're right in there with the COBs, and you're tweaking your spectrum with white. Now, these are only in white right now, 2700 to 6500. But, if you wanted to add some XPEs, you're still at 2.6 micromoles per joule on the efficacy side with really a very respectable wall plate efficiency. I mean, 48% is not bad. I mean, if you run CXB 3590s at a high current, like a 72 volt at 1050 or a 36 volt version at like 2100 milliamps, you're right in that same range. So I don't think you destroy your efficiency by adding monos, and then that's why I'm adding monos. And we'll talk about when and why you should add monos and who should add monos and who shouldn't here in just a second. We'll talk about this new diode, the XQ-A, very quickly because it only appeals, this is a broad statement, but it really only appeals to manufacturers because we don't really give a shit if the diode is 2.45 millimeters squared or half that, because that's tiny. And, you know, for us, size, you're reducing size in a DIY build while sacrificing both wall plate efficiency and efficacy isn't really worth it. It's not worth it to me. So I don't think we'll see too much discussion about XQA and XQEs on the DIY side. But for vertical farming, for tiny little nano cob build or nano LED builds and stuff like that, yeah, we might see some of these in small lights. I'd love to see them in some clone lights that are inexpensive, tiny little lights. So 1.6 millimeter footprints, pretty freaking small, tiny little diode. So hey, real quick, let's just catch up on chat. There's a little man looking thing on the poop out. Oh, pop out hangout window. We'll give you a link. They're binned at 350 milliamps for 48. Oh, so it's lower at 700. Okay, so everything I just said is lower at 700 milliamps as opposed to 350. But you can still run them at 350 if you wanted. Glad he just said that I'm doing with the Mal 5 kit 4x4. Anybody here have any experience? Yeah, I do. We'll talk about it. Let's see what else is going on. What is Presto saying? Who the heck has HPG3s? Nobody, and that sucks. But people have them up on their websites with zero quantity Presto. So, I mean, as soon as they are found, you know, roll it up. Somebody on there is going to be on it within minutes. Area 51, 2012 to 2013, all white XPG2 panels. Yeah, Area 51 was getting a lot of play and a lot of discussion a few months ago. And I have no experience with Area 51 LED or the W90 panel, or I should say modular panel. And I think they kind of fell out of the discussion due to several customer feedback complaints from some fairly influential people about not getting the customer service. And I got to say, if you guys aren't familiar with the Area51.net W90, it's a Vero 90 run at 90 watts or 95 watts, running that Vero just like it wants to be run, you know, like 2 amps or whatever. And puts out a good amount of juice. It's modular. You can connect a bunch of them. A bunch of people got them. A bunch of people didn't get them quick. And it kind of ticked a lot of people off. And I think that as a manufacturer, as a company, just playing devil's advocate, it's really hard to anticipate customer demand. And there was a great demand for this product because the price point was on point, the wattage was on point, the efficiency was on point for the time, and people got excited about it, but they just couldn't fill demand. So I'm not saying Area 51's a bad company. I just think they oversold the product quantity-wise. So, you know, still good to buy, still good to check out, but, you know, just make sure I would call them, make sure they're back in stock on their products before getting too excited about it. So let me take a brief moment because I really think it's going to be worth it to try to get Greengene in here. Just switch gears back. Oh, hey, Gene. Oh, thank God, dude. I'm perspiring like a mother effer right now. How you doing, man?
Good. You'll probably have to get this back into... Yeah, okay, so you're echoing. Maybe I'm echoing.
You are perfect on my end. I might be echoing.
I'm double echoing in my ears.
Okay.
No, all good now. Yeah, so are we on there? I'm on the regular chat?
Yeah, you're on. Yeah, you're in there. I'm going to collapse you down unless, I don't know. I'm sure you're a good-looking guy. You're a really good-looking guy.
I'll even throw up my little avatar thing. I don't need to be in here. I'm just here for a little extra info when you need it. But
yeah, I do need the extra info. And when I was typing out I was going to talk about Apache Tech. What happened was the morning got away from me a little bit, and I'm pretty familiar with Apache, but I don't think anybody kind of in the scene, you know, the DIY scene or the YouTube, Instagram scene is as familiar with Apache Tech as you. So because Apache's basically about as OG as it gets, let's start talking about these discrete diodes from the perspective of the early days of Apache, Nichia, the red diodes they use, and let's start from there if we can.
Yeah, for sure. Let me get a little more comfortable spot to sit here so I don't have drill presses and shit in the background.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Um,
your audio is coming through great now. Chat room, how's Gene sounding? You can hear him pretty well. You're not gonna be able to
yeah,
see
how's
him,
it
but
sound?
let's.
I mean, I can like I said, I don't need to be on the camera, so I'm good. But as long as the audio is good, that's I know that's been a problem in the past. So as long as that's good, we're good.
You sound fantastic to me. Nice, clear, present. I just want to make sure that my computer's pushing it through. Kilowatt says, "Yeah, what's up, Kilo? That's
Nice.
my boy right there."
Yeah,
And
I was gonna say, what up, dude? When I was trying to find that chat link, you were the last person I had a convo with other than Grow Mouse. So what up, man?
yeah, dude. Hey, real quick soapbox moment. I got to tell you guys, I don't know how you feel about this, Gene, but a lot of these guys that come in and comment on our videos, that are either from Roll It Up or outside of Roll It Up on YouTube, I just feel like we have a really unique micro community inside of the cannabis growing community. And there's definitely some dicks. Your channel is bigger than mine, so you probably encountered twice as much dick.
Nah. Well, and it like you have, I'm starting to see like your following you have the DIY following, which is true. It's what you do. You've been posting nothing but DIY videos. But dude, I have a lot of people who all throw up a video that I think is sick as fuck and something that you and I and a lot of us other nerds would get off on. And half of my following is like, fuck, dude, I just want to see plants. I want to talk about nutrients. I want to do this. And so it's cool to come and hang out, whether it be Roll It Up or even, like I say, just your channel. I notice you get a lot of pure nerds, and I like it. I'm a nerd. You're a nerd. And it's cool to see everyone else nerding out too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my soapbox moment was I did it earlier, but just a shout out to everybody. I mean, I think that these people out here see that you have a business to make money, but it started rooted in finding the truth, and getting past the myths and getting past the bullshit marketing. And you don't do that. You don't have any. I love sexy girls, but you don't have any like sexy girls holding your lights on your website. You don't have one of those bullshit marketing websites. Your light has a science section. It explains the science and the stats. And I just think it's a good example. And there are some other people like Fluence and other competitors of yours that are like that. And we just have to set the standard. And I think it's important for guys like us to pressure companies to fit within a certain standard of presenting information on their products.
Oh, for sure. And there is, like you say, Fluence, even Illumatex, which obviously BML came out of there and all that. But you look at certain companies, even Lumagrow, all these, there's about 4 companies that they have the resources to do it. They're big companies, million and billion dollar companies, and you'd expect them to. And there are about 5 of them that actually do it and give you the scientific growth knowledge. And then there's the other, 95 to 98% that are just fluff, unfortunately.
I know.
But there are quite a few companies that really do. And if you were to think about it, 5 top name LED companies, are there 5 HPS companies that you would really devote your money to as well? Like, there's really not. There's Hortilux, there's Gavita, there's a few off kind of budget brands. You could go like Nanolux or something like that. But in the end of the day, if there was 5 top brand HPS, you'd be surprised. So to have 5 LED companies that and there's more. There's probably 7 to 10 and all that. But to have companies that are stepping up to the plate, it's good to see. And the more we progress and things like this that we're talking about today, when a company like Cree says, "Hey, we're talking about PPF," we don't even mention lumens in our report. That
I didn't even think about that. There wasn't one mention of lumens.
Yep. So there might be 1 or 2, but for the main part, everything's PPF and PPFD related, which is how it should be. So that's to see that kind of progress from just 2013 to now it's a big deal.
Were you blown away when you saw this document, the horticultural guide, and you saw these numbers? And dude, they're within a % of Supra's numbers that he's been coming out with since 2013, pretty much.
Yeah, and I mean, I wouldn't expect anything different, truthfully. Because the data, like Supra didn't make up his data. Supra didn't get a slightly different thing than Cree and then do everything else that every little variable from then on out would then spread from the original source. So like he's using Cree's data, which Cree is using. Cree also didn't step up and, kind of use their sphere data exactly. They've got this all documented and they know.
Yeah.
And then eventually we reached out to Cree, or I think Supra actually did, or Alesh, one of the two. emailed Cree direct and got the leers and everything. And once we saw that, they were within, we're talking 2 out of 320 something. So, well within a 0.5% error on that. And that could be anything from the person who digitalized the graph, the program that digitalized the graph, anything could have been that error. So yeah, well, I expected it to be close, but what I didn't expect is Cree to go so hardcore on the white red as their reference design. That was what what did kind of throw me for a loop, because as you noted, I've been talking with Cree for a long time, and Cree components and Cree lighting are 2 separate things. They're almost 2 separate companies, and they don't know what each other do. So the component guys are always like, well, I don't know if they're thinking about building grow lights and this and that. And then you talk to some people and they're like, oh, well, we fiddled around with it or this and that. And they really try to downplay it. So anyway, long story short, to tangent up, to see them actually come out with this is what we believe, this is the info behind it. It's cool, and it's definitely a big move forward.
It is really cool, and it's funny. Guys like you and me and Robin and others have been working so hard, you guys for the last year, me for the last 6 months, on just trying to find a fucking piece of metal that has some holes in it that fits Cree stuff. But Cree has metal and heat sinks and optics and stuff that all fits together. You just can't get it. You can't get 10 of them or 4 of them or whatever.
Well, you guys are starting to. So the DIY world has now opened up the distributor game. Cree doesn't look at this as I have a retail store and I'm selling this. They say I sell to a distributor. After that, I don't care. I've already made my money. I've made my profit. I want this. Whatever the distributor does from there on out, that's them. So these distributors are the ones that are kind of blocking the game, and it's because of what they do. They normally sell visual lighting products.
Right.
So they're not going to stock something. They can get it because they're a vendor, they're a distributor. They can get it just like anyone else. But Cree also doesn't have 3 pallets of 3590s waiting to go sitting in their warehouse. They ship everything they make to their distributors and have no stock. So when I say, okay, I need 1,000 3590s in 2 weeks, they laugh and they go, okay, we'll have them to you in six to 8, and I'll be lucky if I get them in 5.5. And that's everyone. That's Cutter. That's, GE, someone making just general lighting products or anything. There is no warehouse filled with XTEs and CXBs and stuff that Cree's just like, oh yeah, we got an order, let me go. They basically go, here's our projection of what we need. We're going to go off that. And if anything else happens to rush in there within that time frame, we'll deal with it when the time comes.
Yeah, and I've noticed
us
that
as the DIYers get stuck as, well, I only need 8, but a company has to order a minimum of 100 to 300 just to sell you 8. That's where we're seeing these issues of these parts that are available from Cree, whether it be the Avid heat sinks or the LED lenses. Those LED lenses and those circuit boards that they're just showing off in there, those are all new, along with the XPE. Actually, a lot of those components, those base kind of the core light part of it, that's all new and was just kind of released this year at the trade shows. So
okay, so
and the old ones were slightly different. It's not like it's the completely new concept, but that exact circuit board and that lens is this year. That's new stuff.
Okay, because I wasn't familiar with it. I knew that Ledl made some products for PCBs and for clusters of diodes. You see them in the aquarium lights and stuff like that.
Yep.
But I wasn't familiar with this line, and I'm a big Ledl fan. It's like, you go look at car websites for car parts. I go look at Ledl's website and BJB and other Italian, German, European products. I'm like, oh, why is that so much sexier than the stuff from America,
Yeah.
But I hadn't seen this. So while I have you, man, let's touch back to Apache in the early days of discrete diodes. So I'm here on their website, and their pricing's maintained pretty steady at $24.99 for the AT600, which I think you proved over a year ago was a 1,000-watt killer.
Oh, I've never found it. I hate the word killer. I've never found an LED that absolutely slays sodium. But then again, I haven't put 1,200 watts to 1,200 watts. So we'll see about that. But yeah, Apache. So Apache's what got me into LED, really. I mean, I was a sodium grower at an 18K warehouse at the time. And we were just running that, had everything from vented hoods to a couple open wings. And I was trying to get into LED at the time. And I was talking with, I don't know if you guys remember Stealth Grow.
I do.
It's
I
an
do.
okay, yeah, old company, big ass units,
Hmm.
pretty much like ProSource in a way. So I got in with them. Obviously, it did not perform and wasn't even close. I also, before that, I bought some like, $100 eBay panels. So I had spent my share on shitty LEDs, and granted, I wasn't part of the community fully, and so I didn't have the knowledge, and nor was the knowledge out there to figure out what was going on. So Apache, I met them through a friend, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we want to deck out your warehouse, this and that. We'll hook you up." So the usual LED grabs a good grower and wants someone to show off their shit, and I was all down for it, but we were kind of downsizing at the time, and then our warehouse, it didn't get hit, but we kind of had to move and some things. So downsized to like a small little 10K setup. And that's when I kind of got online and started showing stuff just to talk about LEDs, to learn about it, because Apache's filling me with all this information. And I knew the general, very, a little bit about growth and plants because I'd done some minor courses in college and some things, but had a very basic skill level, but they kind of really introduced me to it. And their plant physiologist, Robert, if any of you guys ever contact them, he is just a wealth of knowledge, and it kind of blew my mind and really got me going in the direction of plant growth and lighting and what is required. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I kind of took the next step and started talking about what's going on. What are they actually doing? And then, years down the line, I ended up with PLC and this and that. But yeah, they grabbed me, kind of showed me the way. But when I first got in, we were actually using red and blue combinations. We were using, I want to say 7-to-1, 6-to-1, blue, red to blue, really heavy. And what we started looking at was whites back then. That was 2010. And I had all red blue panels, and they hooked it up with 2 white panels. They had one, the R1, and one, the R2. And they basically, the plant physiologist says that the R1 is the perfect spectrum.
Okay.
But we as cannabis growers were so like, we want red. They made the R2. And that's what I got to test out for a long time. And you guys saw it online. And it was fantastic. It's a 61K base spectrum. So they're using a real cool white, as Cree's using 4000K.
Okay.
Apache's using a 6000, 61, 62, somewhere in there. And then supplementing with 630. So instead of 660, which a lot of people are kind of, nowadays, everyone's going for 660. And the reason for that was because back then in 2010, 660 diodes were just dog shit compared to 630s. Not that 630s were freaks of nature and amazingly better than everything else, but the 660s really had a hard temp droop and current droop, and they just weren't to the performance that you see nowadays. Now, like you say, Osram, Cree, even Epistar, technically Cree red dye are from Epistar. So
okay,
there's a lot of the Epi dyes. There's a lot of licensing and things like that go along. But anyway, the 660 has improved so much in the last 2 to 3 years that now you're starting to see these come into the horticulture game because, like you were touching on, they can keep their efficacy and PPF up.
Okay, and do you think the strategy of utilizing like a 3K or 4K white will give you enough 600 to 630 now that you can use 660, or is it because the 660 have just gotten better? And that's where that chlorophyll B peak is, and that's why
it is. It's actually if you were to look at McCree, 630's champ, 596 to 628 is 100 on your relative scale.
Okay.
So that's where it actually came from. Is technically you should be getting a higher photosynthetic rate with the 620s, 625s.
Okay.
But you're getting morphological aspects with those deeper reds and those, 660s, 670s. So it's the give and take. And that's where the pure output numbers don't always help you. And it's almost a guessing game when they're so close as, well, what do I want? Can I really tell the difference between an extra liter of carbon fixated versus, 3 inches taller canopy that in turn fills out with, things like that. There's so many little aspects from there that, we could talk nerd for days, but
yeah. Let me cut in on you real quick and touch back on this spectrum, that the initial spectrum for the Apache Tech, which was a 6100, you said, and it says here, 6100K with the red. conventional knowledge and I guess the DIY experts at large would tell you that's crazy. 6100K blue. I mean, is it the brand of diode that they're using that allows them to do that? Because I've got some experience with 6500K 3590s, and man, even in veg, I wasn't really happy with the result. But obviously, you proved that the combo is potent and effective.
See, it's interesting because I'd like them to drop down to more of a 5,000. The 65 is pretty high, and if it were to be on a switch, which hint, hint, I'll just say it now, even though they haven't, the next Apache light you will see will be fully spectrum controlled, no longer using mean-well drivers. They're using their own in-house built drivers, Wi-Fi control, a lot of shit going on there. They're going really high tech.
I think that's going to be important to maintain the over $2,000 price point, because I think,
well, yeah, it nothing's changed there. But so they're doing that. But what I was going to say is the reason it works is because they're adding that red to that 6,000. If they were to have a switch and just veg under 65, you could possibly notice some photo inhibition with that high blue, because you're in that like 28% blue range, and that's well over the 25% threshold that plants kind of don't want to see, really, over 25% blue. And even that's pretty excessive if you're not filling out the rest of the spectrum along the way.
Okay, gotcha. I don't know if you're aware of this new product line. It looks like one of those Kickstarter page from a tech guy from, well, these guys are from Colorado, but you know, it looks like a tech guy turned grower or turned canopreneur. And I don't take the tone of my voice as any kind of criticism of the product. I think we're going to see a lot of high tech products come in at a fair price point, but a higher end price point. But these guys are called Grow.io, and they have basically a controller, which is essentially, it's an aquarium controller that has some features like pH monitoring, water level monitoring for DWC, and they're offering a full system that's smartphone integrated, and they have a lighting product as well. And the lighting product uses it's based off an XTE platform, and just go into it here. I don't know if you can see my screen or not, but they're going with a 6500K Cree XTE with 6 completely unnecessary 460 blues. I don't know if you agree or not, but they're going with.
No, I'm right on that page. The COB, or a white phosphorus conversion LED, is a blue LED. There's no reason to double up on that. If you want more blue, go with a higher Kelvin, but they're already rocking, what'd you say, 65?
Yeah, 6500. That's 12. So it's 50% white in a blue ass white, half 460 blue, half 25% 460 blue, 25% 660 red. And we both have just seen the efficacy and wall plate efficiency.
Yeah, see, they say they're using XTE reds. I'd like to see an Please show me an XTE red anywhere in the world. They don't exist. They're not made.
They're also using the Meanwell HGL power supply, so that must be something brand new. And the guy Doug, I emailed him last night. He's a cool guy. He got back to me, and I criticized his 6500K choice. But yeah, XTE is a white diode product, as far as I know.
Yeah, it's just like the XPG, or the XPG3 is only available in white. So is the XTE, and I believe they're actually probably using the XTE dyes in the PE or.
Yeah. Well, it could be royal blue as well. XTE royal blue.
True.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, guys got some typos,
yeah.
But whatever.
Typos are typos, exactly. But yeah, that is a product that obviously is using discrete diodes and kind of somewhat similar to an Apache spectrum.
Okay. So Apache, weird spectrum, but highly effective. Those were the
highly effective.
Yeah.
But so on the end note, just so we know, Apache, when it turns out at the time, built in 2012, we're looking at about 39% at the wall, or not at the wall, about 39% diode efficiency there.
Okay.
For like 40 and change, so we call it 39 to be safe. So whenever 9% Apache versus the 36% Hortilux, that was a fairly even efficiency versus efficiency kind of grow off there. As well as once I had the Apache up next to the COBs, you guys all saw the Gorilla Glue run, which was, I had I had the 4K panel up over to the left and the Apache on the right. Well, those were 40, in the 45 range, and Apache being, like I said, at the just under 40. Also, again, a really good comparison. So for me, I got to see a great kind of show of what the spectrum can do if we're keeping a somewhat consistent photon count on the canopy. So that was, the glue run was really good for me. I think that was one of the most, I got the most spectral learning out of it. I don't know how to exactly word that, but I definitely got the most information about my spectrums, how they affect the plants, both size and development. It was a really good run, and I got a ton of information out of that.
It was, and you presented that information to everybody. And you touched on something, and I want to emphasize this next question so that people listening back will hear this as a takeaway moment. You're using an LED product with a similar wall plate efficiency, similar efficacy to an HPS product in the run. You're using less wattage, right?
Yeah,
but you had
660 to 1,000 basically, so 35% less.
35% less LED wall watts, but your performance was higher. So electrically, you saved some juice, but efficacy were similar. So why do you think it was so much better? And I think even the testing data from Steep Hill was better. Do you think that has anything to do with this 15% IR? And is that hurting HPS growers?
I don't necessarily, honestly, if anything, I don't think the IR is interesting. I'd like to see some tests with some pure IR. Mm-hmm. In addition to standard, controlled spectrum, and then add IR to truly see what the effects are. And then I'd also like to see what the leaf temperatures are when you're adding that IR, things like that. There could be some serious testing, but I don't think it's hurting it really.
Okay.
It's obviously taken away from where it could be on the, on paper, on numbers, because it's dedicating so much power there. But I do not think it's a complete waste. I do think that heat, combined with the Q10 effect on the metabolism, mm-hmm. There's something there. Hot, I don't want to call it hot, but a little more heat on that canopy is, I honestly don't think a bad thing. And me and Super have always kind of gone back and forth. He's a man who, his one main goal is to keep his canopies under 80 degrees. That is one of his biggest jams. Yes, I was 76 the whole time. My run was flawless. That's what he likes to do. Me, on the other hand, I'm if I don't get my canopy slightly above 80, I'm not getting the growth that I want. And I like around 83, mid to low 80s, 82 to 85 is freaking perfect.
Sure.
Rainforest-like.
Yeah, absolutely. If you can control, as long as you can kind of keep your VPD, vapor pressure deficit, within an optimal range and control at night for mold.
Exactly. And that's, that's all coming with it. But yeah, so anyway, he was like that. But on the other hand, I do think that the heat, and with my research with Apache and really talking about the differences, because their plant physiologist, Robert, has sat me down many times and we've gone into it. And anyway, getting those leaf temperatures up to just under 80 to right around there, that's key. So I think that, long story short, to tangent back, that IR in the sodium beam has definitely helped doing that. And then when you think about warehouse guys who are hanging 6 feet in the air, that IR beam really is not as big of an issue as the guy in the closet.
Sure, that makes sense. That's something I'd love to really get into is not only understanding the Emerson effect, but playing with it and playing with ratios of 630, through 780. And playing with those levels in a controlled way, side by side. And that's something I'd love to get into eventually, because there's so much heated discussion on red, far red, infrared ratios on the forums. And there's very little guys that are putting their money where their mouth is, where that's concerned in testing.
Well, and that's why, so for me, I would love to, your Canopy 10, that thing's sick as fuck.
Thanks, man.
But yeah, no, dude, yeah. I mean, if anyone says it's not, they're fucking high on meth or something, dude. So, anyway, so that thing's sick. I would love, for me personally, if it was just my garden, that's all I would have is sick multispectral lights, cool shit that no one else has. That, like you say, if I knock a percentage or two off the total wall end efficiency, that's my jam. I did it because I wanted to. I wanted to test, and I'm okay. And I also believe that what I did is going to, if I were to do something, I would believe that it would have a positive effect, or at least not a completely negative one. And I could go with that. But hold on one second.
Okay, that's okay. While you do what you do, I'm going to just tell the chat room and tell the viewers that Grow Doug from Grow.io has responded back. And I think my initial comment was a little know-it-all-y. So I apologize, Doug, if you see this, because I did link him to my YouTube channel. Here's what I wrote him. I said, hey, man, you got a typo on the HGL. He said, cool, I got it. And then he responded back this morning. He said he responded to what I said, which was, hey, although the Cree XTE is a great diode, the 6500 color choice is very disappointing for such an elegant state-of-the-art system. That's what I said. And I said, go 4000K for your whites and switch it to the XPG3. Trust me, your more educated consumers will adopt and embrace your lighting as viable for cannabis. I would not be interested in purchasing or recommending your lighting configuration in its current state, which is kind of a know-it-all-y dicky kind of comment for me, but I did say it was constructive, And he responded back. Yeah. He said, yeah, I'm forwarding your Cree notes to our lighting engineers. So it appears, they have a front man who's probably the Kickstarter guy, who's Doug over at Grow.io, and then he's got engineers. They've probably got backers and stuff. I'm speculating, but so that'd be interesting, because wouldn't it be crazy if right as the Cree product launches, you get this fully integrated system that's now launching, with XPG3s as well as XPE Reds, and is kind of exactly that prototype. With let's look at the prices really quick. Where is that? Where's that price?
Well, that's so everyone's hyped on this new XPG3. It's a very cool diode and has some potential.
Set me straight. I'm hyping everybody up. Set me straight.
The XTE is better. It's the same. It's the same performance, but it's binned at 700. So when it's hitting 100, it's a 5-watt diode. The XPG could go higher too, but anyway, the XTE for a white is actually a better white and a slightly better blue, because it's, like I said, it's meant to be at that higher current. But when it comes down to colors, that's when you get into the XPG and XPG2, because the 660, the XPG is king. The 630, the XPG2 is king. So it's like, there's some issues with Cree, and I'm not on their, like you say, their engineering, or if you were to get on their team, on Cree's team, why is it that their XPG can't perform at the level that the XTE can, even though it's a newer diode?
Okay.
Things like that. So that's just the one white. All the rest of their shits and everything on there is true. But when you look at that Cree document, you see at binning condition, 55% wall plug efficiency for both XTE and XPG3. But the binning conditions are different for those two. So that just has to be noted.
Okay. I'm really glad you brought that up, because I get so excited, almost emotional sometimes about lighting products, and I get all amped up, and then I'm maybe adding fuel to a fire of hype that maybe should or should not be there, and so
it's all warranted, and it's not much of a difference. And Cree obviously took the choice to say, we want to use our new diode and show it off, even though we could maybe add 3% more on there using the XTE. So they might know something that we don't as well. But just as far as looking at the data sheets, just know that XTE is binned at a higher current, twice as high, might I add.
I see. What excited me about the XPG3 is that it can take 2 amps. And
exactly, and so you can run it. That is a very convenient thing. So
and for me, where I have HLG 320s, where I have 21 extra volts of juice, I can soak up a few volts using a 5,000 Kelvin just to pop those blues out a little more if I want. Or I can use a 3K or whatever. It just, for to have a $3 diode option that is a higher end diode than an XML2 in some different CCTs, to me, I thought was really fucking cool.
No, it's cool. And I'm expecting that color XPG3s come in a little bit. I don't expect the XPG3 to stay a pure white diode forever. If it really is just an improvement of the two, then the rest will fall down the line.
Sure, and we'll see a royal blue probably in like 3 months.
Yeah,
first.
exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, they obviously got it. All they got to do is get rid of the phosphor.
Let me just catch up on chat real quick. Presto, yeah, I announced the live stream on Instagram, but I only gave you guys 30 minutes to an hour notice. I just kind of got in the mood, man, What about UV? Yeah, we'll talk about UV probably after Gene leaves. I've got some UV discussion. Where do I send my money for a canopy? Well, dude, I got to tell you, Canopy 10, cool light. I'm really proud of it, and I think it looks sick too. But it took a fuckload of time to build, and it's more expensive to build than I wanted it to be.
Yeah. So with what you saying on that is like, so the reason I would love to have a lightweight like that and do all that is great, but when you're doing it on a commercial scale, all of a sudden every little penny and all this work and inventory, like you say, like you had to, if you were on an industrial scale, you'd have to keep all your diodes separate and your pickers and everything.
Yeah.
There's so much extra work that goes into making these super highly complex discrete diode based lights that is where you see a lot of these exuberant price points, like Apache at 2400, old BML at 2400, Illumitech at 26.
Mm-hmm.
That's where all the shit comes from, is all the work that you just put in yourself, DIYing it. The companies still have to do that, and that's where these prices come from.
And people balk at these prices. I think customer price sensitivity for a 4x4 space is $1,500 for a high-end LED product. That I think is about where it's at. Would you agree?
Oh, agreed. Agreed. And the thing is, they'll spend $1,500 to make it themselves out of COBs, but they won't spend $1,500 to buy it from BML.
Right. Exactly.
It's a very interesting. The one thing I will say is, like, people used to bitch about Apache all the time, but then I see the people who buy from me on a DIY scale, and it's like, you guys spend just as much, if not more, doing it that way. A lot of times. And for some, that's great, and you can do better, and for others, not so much.
I agree with spending whatever amount of money it takes to suit a weird space. Like, let's say you had a 4 foot by 7 foot triangular closet or trapezoidal closet or some weird space. DIY that bitch and spend what you need to do to get it perfect. But yeah, I spent more money building this light than I would have on a Fluence or a couple of your products for sure. And I'll detail all that. But there'll be so much coverage of this canopy light later. That we'll get into that later.
Hey, but I'm kind of getting rushed off here. And I know you have a lot more, so I want to just thank you for letting me on here. And anyway, if anyone wants to check out some kind of very white red spectrums, go back, check out my Gorilla Glue Grow. I got a lot of Apache work on here, and some good spectrums to work with, as long as all white. So anyway, thanks for the time on here, Grow Mouse, appreciate it, and keep up the good shows. I do like to watch them myself. So
thanks so much, man. I'll catch up with you later, bro. Thanks for stopping in.
Of course. Peace. Have a good one.
Later. All right, guys. So for anybody that's just joining us here, that was Greengene. We got about 50 people watching, but we'll probably get 1,000 people watching this video later. I'll edit it down, take out the parts where I was trying to get him in here. So thanks, Gene. Gene gave us a baseline of kind of the discrete diode, the high-end discrete diode lighting movement, which started with Apache Tech in Area 51, which is then kind of gone into Illumitex, BML, and some others. So let's kind of pick back up with the show topic that I talked about on Instagram and have been talking about here, which is just talking about some different products that use discrete diodes. I'm going to close down a few windows here just to make sure that my internet browser doesn't crash. So just bear with me for just a second. So stepping back to Fluence, people ask me all the time. GG's company, Greengene's company, is called PacificLightConcepts.com. And in fact, let's just take a brief moment to go over there and check in with what he has in stock. What he has in stock right now as far as DIY and lighting components. Gene's been working really hard to take COBs and put them in a fixture for people that can't, won't, or don't DIY. And so, we saw the CX300 come out a while ago. It was a light that was based on the CXA, which is why it's six COBs and 2 drivers. But then the CXB came out really fast and kind of came out hard. So my understanding is that the CX300 is undergoing a little bit of a redesign right now, and it's going to be new and improved and badass and all that stuff. But the product I'm really excited in, if I didn't build my own lights, I would be a customer for the CXP250. And the CXP250 is a bar concept like I've had in the past, and like a lot of us out there are building. And it's a completely IP, I believe, 67. Yeah, IP67 rated fixture that you can fucking put a garden hose on, and it's got integrated optics, and it's got a lot of cool features like this little bracket that allows you to mount multiple of them on a bar that you can put on a winch or something like that. And it's got all waterproof, or excuse me, water resistant gland connectors, IP rated dimming knob. It's just top notch. And the price on it is very fair. I don't think, okay, he has it here at 625, and I believe there's a discount code. I don't want to misquote the discount code, so I won't. But if you go to Roll It Up and you go to Greengenes thread, you can get a fixture that it has about $550 worth of parts and, you know, a full day to build for a fraction over that. So he's really closing the gap on on the price savings of DIY, Gene. I mean, you're really making it hard for some of us DIY guys to justify the savings when you're making an IP rated fixture with the same components with a warranty for just a few bucks, the cost of a dinner more than you can build it yourself. So, okay, enough about PLC. There we go. Back to Fluence. So I got a little experience with Fluence, or with BML, and with talking to the guys over at BML. And my experience comes from a visit to Austin, Texas, where they have the South by Southwest movie interactive show. And I just got back from California last week, where I was on a personal vacation, but I made the time to visit with a couple of other companies who were familiar with me and my YouTube channel and were happy to open their doors to me and show me some of their integrated sphere data and show me some other things. BML did the same thing for me when I was down there. And, you know, they opened their doors, gave me a tour of their factory, showed me their product line and stuff like that. So I've held these things. I've seen them. I've grilled their engineer. And in fact, their engineer at Fluence is, he's a top-notch guy. He really knows his stuff. And I actually was embarrassed because he was using some terminology that I had to go out to the car and Google. You know, that was a while ago. That was, what was that, April? So it's a few months ago, but yeah, so top-notch company pushing 2.2 micromoles per joule with an above 50 wall plate efficiency. I don't remember the exact wall plate efficiency, but Fluence is a company that's using an LG and a Samsung or Samsung warm and neutral white diode with the Osram Oslan 660 super reds or hyper reds. And this discrete diode is on a printed circuit board that's made and reflowed and silk screened in-house here in America. Everything's tested on these racks. Everything's tested on these racks in their 20 or 30,000 square foot warehouse facility. All Meanwell drivers come on a huge pallets. I kind of wanted to figure out how to do a caper. You know what I'm saying? And just get like a forklift and just go and drive through the back door and just grab a pallet of BM or of Meanwells. But you know, I'm not that type of guy. But yeah, dude, sick company, great technology, great efficacy. And what I really like about Fluence is their footprint. You know, these were guys that for years now have said, let's take the discrete diode package out of a 1 foot by 2 foot or 2 foot by 2 foot panel, and let's make the damn thing as big as the grow space. And the question that always comes up when it comes to Fluence, BML, Illumintex, and other LEDs is, well, with it being all spread out, it's not going to penetrate, right? And that's something that I don't know if we can get into today, but penetration and canopy penetration comes from a few things. It comes from spectrum, it comes from intensity of the source, and it comes from photon density. And it's sort of a combination of the three. 1,000 watt HPS or Gavita will always have better penetration in the middle of the canopy. And by middle, I mean, you know, 1 foot, 2 foot circle in the middle. That's where it's always going to penetrate the deepest because that's where the photon density is the deepest. But you could say if you took 1,000 watts worth of BML or the equivalent in photons and spread that PPF out into a nice even photon blanket, you can achieve a better overall average penetration because photon density across the canopy is more even, which means under HPS, you'll have better penetration in the center and you'll have big nugs down 2 feet. But if you average the nug density across your 4x4 canopy, the higher photon density lighting source is always going to win. But that's a whole nother conversation that I would definitely need Greengene in on, just to make sure I didn't mistalk about transmittance of green light, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, so, I definitely give Fluence a high recommend. Let's just look at their pricing really quick. Where are we here? The Spider. Yeah, the Spider, Spider's a great light. The Spider X is a great 5-bar light that, you can run in your tent, you can run at home. And if you want to push that 1,000-watt equivalent, the Spider X Plus is going to be probably the way to go. Let's look at the pricing on the Spider X Plus, because we were talking about $1,500 being like a price sensitivity point for people in a 4x4. So chat room, let me catch up with you guys. You pay money for that internet connection? Yeah. That's what Presta says. Grow, Mo, and Mo, what's up, homie? Glad to see you in here. Bakyuji Dongyu Kebab. Hello from Ukraine. Good to see you, man. Who else is in here? Mr. Tight. Hey, Mr. Tight. What do you guys think about $1,500 for a 4x4? I'm not saying tell me if you'd spend $1,500 or not, but as just a general price sensitivity for the market, $1,500 per 4x4 for an LED, whether it's at home or in a greenhouse. What do you think of that price point? Do you think that's kind of where people are looking to spend? You think it's $1,000? Because we all know that you can, for $425, you can blast a 4x4 with HPS. Oh, I did disconnect for a few minutes? Oh, fuck. Am I back, Presto? Hold on. Just 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm back. Okay, cool. Well, hey, man, I'm sorry about that. I don't know. Hey, Jay Maestro. I don't know what y'all missed, but so at volume 1350 for the warehouse guys, $1,500. They're nailing it right at that 1,500. And for me, okay, it's a little much. Kilowatt says it's a little much, I think. 1,200, I'd be more happy. Jay Maestro, you're still alive. Yes, I had to refresh. Sorry about that, guys. I would rather, Bilbo Scroggins says he'd rather just spend the 425 on HPS. And I hear you there, brother. I mean, everybody's situation's a little different. And, when you're starting out, 425 to get an excellent light like a Gavita or like something like that, yeah, I hear you, man. But for some of us, like for me, for example, I can't run HPS due to my HVAC constraints. I'm in a townhome, a condo, and a mini split's not an option for me. My apartment lease people, the manager and the fucking maintenance man would be like, what is this thing? This, compressor for a mini split sitting out next to these old ass AC units. So it's not an option for me here, period. I tried it. I had two 600s next to an LED setup for the first 3 months I lived here, and I couldn't control the heat. So it's my only option. And, for me, as far as return on investment, if I can illuminate more gross space with LED, I can grow more bud. No, audio went out. Room for that money. Okay, I'm assuming I'm good right now. If you cannot hear me, well, if you can't hear me, you're not going to say anything. Just Presto, you're my boy, dude. Just let me know if you can still hear me. But for me, HPS just isn't an option. And I'm an open-minded guy, and I hope I've never said fuck HPS, because I don't feel that way. HPS has gotten me where I am today over the last 15 years. I'm fine with HPS. And now with companies like Hortilux stepping up their game and introducing some new products into the market that may shift the spectrum a little bit, I commend that. And I think that despite the whole Scott's Miracle Grow Monsanto purchasing of Gavita's a really solid brand. I mean, look at their numbers. I mean, let's go up to their numbers. We're talking 1.82 micromoles per joule. Do you know how many LED products there are on the market right now? Oh, excuse me. Where is Gavita? Let me go back up. Sorry. Where are we at, peeps? Where's the numbers for the Gavita? Here we go. 1.72 micromoles per joule. So 1.72 micromoles of photons for every watt that's pulled from the wall. Do you guys know how many LED products there are on the market right now that do not put out 1.72 micromoles per joule? I'm not going to name any specifics because I like all the guys in this chat room and all the people that are going to listen to this, and I don't want to make you feel bad about buying a product, but let me just tell you this. I would say about half the products on the market, the LED products from very popular companies that you know, are putting out less than 1.7 micromoles per joule. Illumatex would be one of those, unfortunately. Their Sirexi S4 diode, their newest line diode that they manufacture in-house, is less than 1.7 micromoles per joule. So the efficacy, I mean, you buy these LEDs thinking you're like helping yourself, and you're really not in terms of photon yield. In terms of heat, you can see, which I covered 2 days ago, in terms of heat, yes, those lower efficacy, lower end LED fixtures do run cooler because there's zero IR, and a Gavita is going to have 15% right there. So that's just straight up 15% heat savings because, like I said, IR does have benefits to the plant. But regardless of those benefits, it heats up a room, man. I mean, that's just the way infrared light behaves, and we can go into that a little bit. We can go into that on another show or something like that. So back to the message at hand. I think that Fluence is right in there for the price sensitivity point for consumers. I think $1,000 per 4x4 is the goal for a lot of companies. I think that'd be the goal for me. I mean, $1,000 is something that I've held in my hand a few times, and it's something I could see myself go into a grocery store, go into a website, and drop it on a 4x4. So we'll get there. We'll get down to a high-end LED with 2.2, maybe even 2.4 micromoles of photons per joule within the next 2 years. We will. But for now, you're going to have to drop between 12 and 1500 to get the high-end products. But that's not to say you need this to grow the dank. I mean, you can grow the dank with Mars, you can grow the dank with Kind, you can grow the dank with Lush and Kush and all those things. And if you're a not-for-profit grower, if you're just an at-home grower, you could be super successful with that stuff. I have been. I grew with Mars, and I loved it. But when it came from how much am I spending on my electricity bill, my nutrients, when it came time for me to look at my grow room from the at-home grow room as a business perspective and not a hobby, and I started analyzing and spreadsheeting stuff, that's when I started getting into wanting to invest more money into the higher end LEDs. Not because you need COBs and you need high-end LEDs to grow the dank, because you don't. But you need those higher technologies to drive up your grams per watt, grams per square foot, grams per kilowatt hour efficiency in production in a small space. And that's my perspective, that's my philosophy, and so that's why I kind of focus on some of these higher end products. So let's talk about Spectrum King, man. So many people ask me about Spectrum King. And Spectrum King is one of those companies that for me sits right in the middle of, and I don't mean to be offensive here, but they sit right smack dab in the middle of the high-end science-based website and marketing, and on the far other end, the hype websites and the hype marketing companies. And by that I mean they are offering some science, actually a lot of science on their website. I mean, they published a private document when they sent their light to Cree and basically did a full fucking colonoscopy on this thing and told you everything. That is the moment, that's the day when I started to really respect Spectrum King, and not that I didn't respect them before. I didn't know them, and I looked at them as just another one of those companies, that's trying to sell an LED. When they put data on the table, that's when my ears perked up, and that's when I started listening to Brendan and started communicating with him and congratulating him on his efforts. And started becoming open to maybe being a tester for a Spectrum King product, which I am very much open to testing, because I think you guys know I don't fuck around. I don't have a lot of money. I don't make a lot of money, at my job, but I have a good living, and I can buy my own shit. I can buy my own parts. I can make my own lights. I don't need free lights. I don't need free stuff and to give favorable reviews. All I want to do is know the truth. Like, I want to break through all the hype, and I just want to know, okay, take a above average grower like me. Let's take a lighting product. Let's take a nutrient product, and let's grow some plants, and let's show everybody what it can do, and not fuck with the data. Let's just show them so they know what they're buying going into it. So the SK400 Plus, a lot of you guys have it out there. A lot of guys in this chat room probably have one. And let's put the company aside. Let's put Brendan. Let's put the other representatives. Let's put their video. Let's put their lovers. Let's put their haters all aside. And let's just look at the product for what it is. It's a heatsink with some diodes and some drivers. Okay? And what's in it, or what was in it at the time of their tempo test, is approximately 42 Cree MKR diodes with approximately 12 to 14 combination of red diodes. 4,000 Kelvin on the whites and between 620 and 660 on the reds. And when this fixture was built, this fixture was built a while ago. In fact, before it was Spectrum King, it was like sunlight LED, and they had to change it because Sunlight Supply was going to sue them or some shit. I saw that on an old Remo video. But for what this thing is, it is not an Alibaba fixture. You can buy the heatsink from Alibaba, that's got a little thinner metal and stuff like that. But it is a overseas made heatsink, but there's a couple models of that heatsink. I think there's 3 models of this heatsink, the heat pipe high bay heatsink. And of the 3 models, they have the highest level, thickest metal, highest quality 5052 aluminum heatsink, and it is anodized or powder coated black. I think parts are anodized, parts are powder coated. But it's a good heatsink. They use mean well drivers, which me and everybody else use great. And it's got the MKR diodes, which came out at the end of 2013, but really became available in 2014. So now we're looking at a product that has a 2-year-old diode. And at the time, 50%, 50% wall plate efficiency was pretty good and is still pretty good. I don't remember the exact wall plate efficiency, but it is respectable in this product, and the micromole per joule is respectable. So I think that the SK400 is a pretty good light for a discrete diode light. But what's really got me excited and interested in Spectrum King is their new product, the 600. And I want to take a brief moment to talk about the 600. But first I have to find Dago's channel. Here it is. Keep It Green Grow Show. So this is a guy that, who was it? Was it Kilowatt? Was it you that linked this, or was it IB High or Kilowatt? One of the guys on the DGC forums, they linked this video. And this is basically the first guy that's got a SK600 out in the wild. And man, I can't believe I didn't know this guy. He makes fucking great videos. Look at his intro. It reminds me of Vader OG, which is another great channel. But I've enjoyed just a few chats with him, and he's opening and unboxing it. Let me see. Can I link to this video? Can I share this to you guys so you can watch it later? Yeah, let's link it up in the chat. But this guy's unboxing. Oh, come on, baby. It won't let me link. Oh, yeah, here we go. Paste. Boom. Okay, so here's Dago's channel, and he's unboxing an SK600, and he shows us a close-up of the board. Boom, right there. And I spent about 10 minutes trying to get that precise location, and I spent probably 2 hours. Yeah, about 2 hours trying to extrapolate what size this diode package is and what and identify what's in it so I could find the efficacy, so I could find everything, and I just can't. Spectrum has always been a Cree company. They've always boasted that they're all Cree. I can't find a Cree diode that fits this package size in the Cree lineup unless I have the package size wrong. I believe it's a 7x7 millimeter or 8x8 millimeter for the white, and there's nothing even around it. This could be a Lumi LED product. I don't know. They haven't released it yet, but when they do, us nerds are going to get a hold of it and see what it can do. But the initial reports I've seen from Spectrum King videos put the efficacy of this thing at 40% over the Cree MKR. And yeah, dude, J Maestro, it's got a big ass heatsink. And the heatsink design is consistent. It's better than the SK400 heatsink geometry. And the heatsink design is consistent with a scientific document that I've read through a few times that Robin sent me. And let me link this document as well for you guys that really want to nerd out on some heatsink stuff. MHDE, what's an MHDE? Is that the diode, Gene? And are you sure? Are you okay? The Cree tempo tests reports that the SK400 Plus has an MKR in it, and I think that's correct. I mean, I've got it. We can look it up. Gene, are you saying that someone has confirmed that the MHD-E is the diode that's in the SK600 Plus? Please, it's an LED. Okay, I'll look it up. I know it's an LED, but is it in the SK600 Plus? Okay, so here's the geometry. He's no idea if it is the one, but it's a 7x7 millimeter. Okay, well, dude, we'll look at that in just one moment. And I'm extrapolating that it is a 7x7 millimeter based off of identifying the reds that are in the SK600 Plus and knowing that the only red it could be is a 2.45 by 2.45 millimeter. And I'm just kind of extrapolating. So I'm totally shot in the dark guessing here, guys. I'm just trying to like be one of those news reporters that breaks the story before they even know if it's credible. But so here's a document. Here's a study that talks about heatsink geometry, and this is a study out of the International Journal of Microcircuits. And it talks about pin heat sinks. It talks about fin heat sinks, staggering, parallel, etc. And the conclusions that it comes to confirms what we've known on Roll It Up for a long time, is that when you take a heat sink, like a fin heat sink, and you orient the fins vertically so that air can create like a convection current from underneath up through it, that's how you get the best heat dissipation. Or if you take a standard extruded heat sink, like a Heatsink USA profile, and take it from a horizontal orientation and move it to a vertical orientation, you get better heat sinking. And just, think about heat as like water and the way water would flow, and you can kind of help, it'll kind of help you visualize. So for you nerds out there that really want to understand heatsink and heatsink geometry, read this document that I linked in the chat. So let's go back over to what I was talking about, which was the Spectrum King SK600 Plus, or SK600. If it has a 40% increased efficacy over an MKR, which is a totally respectable diode, these guys could be up in that 2.2 micromole per joule range, which is what the high-end fixtures are hitting, like the Fluence, like I would assume the Apache, and like others. And so it really kind of takes things to the next level, but we need a lot more information about it. And it also looks like Spectrum King has paid a lot of attention to thermal management, whereas in their old product, the 400 Plus, they are taking an overseas manufactured high bay heatsink and putting an in-house PCB on it. But now they're kind of going a little bit more ground up. They have the gold plating on the back of the PCB for the 600, and they've paid a little bit more attention to thermal management with a different design. So I can't give you guys a takeaway to buy it or not. It just wouldn't be fair or accurate to anybody to recommend a product that I don't know what's in it yet. But it is one of those ones to watch out for, and I'm really happy for Spectrum King for for kind of coming along and becoming one of those companies that reports data and moving away from one of those companies that is into hype marketing. And I think the last thing that Spectrum King can improve on is moving, and that any LED can improve on, is moving away from comparing yourself to an HPS equivalent. I know it's been the standard for decades, and we need to know. I know what 1,000 does. I know what a 600 does. What LED amount can compare to this? So I understand the importance of needing to know the comparison, but the whole idea of LED watts, and somebody came up with LED watts as a term, like, well, how many LED watts is it? What the fuck does that mean? Like, what is an LED watt? And the fact that that's even a term that exists on our planet makes me feel stupider just for existing. So we need to move away from that bullshit. We need to start talking, what are the dissipation watts of the fixture? How much does it pull from your wall? What is the efficacy in terms of micromoles per joule? And what is the wall plate efficiency? How much of your energy that you're paying your electricity company for becomes photons, and how much goes directly to heat? That's really all we need to know. We don't need LED watts. We don't need, you know, this is a 600 killer, this is a 1,000 killer. We don't need that stuff. We just need 3 pieces of data. And I think every website that's trying to sell you an LED should have that stuff. So, okay, so moving from that, let's move over to Errba. Actually, you know what? I'll tell you what, guys. Let's do something a little bit more interesting. Let's do something a little bit more interesting. I don't know. Do you guys like cool shit? I do. I like cool shit. So what we're going to have to do here is we're going to have to edit the scene. And I don't know if I can do that live. Let me see. This is going to really suck if I can't edit the scene. Hold on. Oh, hello. Hello. I can do this live. Let me know. Okay. Where's my boys at? Porn download, grow and mow, Kilo. Let me know if the stream cuts out. I'm going to attempt to do something here. Fit in screen. Let's go ahead and close this. What are you guys seeing? Okay, so you're seeing this page. Let's see what you can see. Bear with me, guys. Bear with me. I want to pop up the webcam, and I want to show you guys something that I think you might find pretty interesting. So let's take the main monitor off. Okay. We'll keep the chat, and let's edit scene. Edit scene. Let's add video capture device. Yes. Logitech webcam. Yes. Come on. Order. Move to top. Yep. Shit, dude. Come on, work with me here. Fit to screen. You guys can't see anything. That fucking sucks. I thought I had this worked out, man. All right. Well, this is going to kind of suck, but I think you're going to be able to see it. All right. Well, this is the best I can do, guys. I'm sorry. But I'll try to get it close up. So I know it's kind of small on the screen. And let me see if I can go full screen on this. Damn it. All right, fuck it. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, so you've got a screen here, and I'm gonna move my mic over. I'm gonna sound maybe slightly distant, but I got an Errba. I've got an Errba spectrum. What the fuck is an Errba spectrum? ERBBA. Errba is a grow light company, and I got in touch with these guys because I saw their product, and I thought, man, you know, this was actually before Cree put out their horticultural reference guide with, you know, a discrete diode package. And when I saw this light, I thought it looked cool. I thought it had some modular, you know, sort of qualities to it. And then Cree came out with this reference guide, which is really, really similar to the Errba. It's similar to Chill LED. I think you guys remember Chill LED from a video I did. Oh, take it easy, Mr. Tight. Have a good time at the pool, brother, and thank you for stopping by. Oh, PM download. Oh, I thought it was porn download. Sorry, bro. Okay. So back to Errba. So contacted the guys over at Errba, and I said, you know, hey, I'm a guy that does some videos and stuff, and I'd like more information about your light. They said, okay, well, here's some information about it. Would you be interested in testing one? And I said, well, I don't take free shit for positive reviews because that destroys my credibility. And all I care about is the truth. And, you know, if a product's going to cost something, I want to be able to show people how it performs. They said, well, good. We don't give away free lights. But what we will do is give us your credit card and we will authorize a deposit, and then we'll loan you a light. And if you fuck us over and don't return it, they'll charge my credit card. And if after I'm done with the evaluation period, I have the option to either allow them to run my card and purchase the light at full retail price minus 5% discount, or maybe it was 10%, you know, a little discount, a little hookup, or you could just send it back. So I said, okay, you're not going to charge my card, but you'll let me use a light for 3 months? Fuck yeah, I'll try one of your lights. So let's open it up and check it out. So this is the Errba, And this is some of their literature here. And it's a really interesting spectrum. And I know, and again, guys, I apologize that the webcam's not on full max screen. I just can't figure it out. But this is their spectrum. And you can see, I mean, dude, they've got a massive blue peak here, which is different than what you guys are probably used to. You know, you're used to it kind of being down about half that much. And they have a nice UV peak in the UVA range. And it's got 3 different drivers in it, and you know, with 3 different combinations of switches, you can make 6 different spectra based on what your needs are. It pulls 500 watts. It costs $1,695, right? So, you know, we just talked about price sensitivity at 1,500. It's more expensive than that. It's 1,695. But what's the value of UV? And does UVA do anything? Well, I know what I've read, and I think you guys know what you've read based on stuff in, you know, the forums and stuff like that. And we're going to evaluate UVA because that's what's in the Canopy 10. And, you know, if we'll see if it does anything, you know, on the strains that I have. And if it does, then, you know, we'll have some nice anecdotal grows that we can say, oh, it is worth it. Or if it does do shit, then we'll just put the issue to rest. Or at least I can personally, you know, because I know what I've read on the forums and stuff like that, but I have to see it personally. I have to do it to really make a decision on if it's UVA. You know, everybody says, oh, it's UVB. That's the one that really works. So we're trying that too, you know, and we just want to go all through that shit. So let's just pop it open, you know. It's like a 42-inch fixture. It's pretty big. It weighs 30 pounds. And it does this look familiar? It looks a hell of a lot like the Cree document that just came out. So, yeah, it is. Yeah. It's kind of an expensive light shep, you know, a little bit more than that price sensitivity point that we were talking about. But maybe it's worth it. You know, maybe it's worth it, maybe it's not. Now, this light isn't really technically on the market yet, so that initial price point was because I said, well, give me a price for this thing because I can't talk about it unless I know how much it's supposed to cost. This is somewhere between the prototype phase and the, you know, available phase, kind of like some people will do where, you know, they can give you 100 of them to a greenhouse, but they're not ready set up to customer support one-offs and stuff. So that's what's going on with it. Now, I don't think for the purposes of this video, it would be like very interesting to take it apart. It'll take too long because it uses a Torx screwdriver, and I'd have to go down in there and find one. But I have looked inside of it. It has what looks like, it has 3 drivers. One of them looks like the extrusion profile of an Inventronics driver. The other 2 look like the extrusion profile of a Meanwheel driver. And they have these labels over them that, you know, that are like proprietary labels, which people do sometimes because there's some issue with export fees and taxes when it comes to Meanwheel in certain countries. And so that's why you guys that have bought, you've bought drivers from Jerry at Kingbright, it'll have a label over it blocking the Meanwheel logo so you can get past that. So I'm not saying it's Meanwheel drivers inside, but it has that extrusion profile. And like we've seen from Pacific Light Concepts with the LSD drivers and Cutter with the Pieru, if you've got good solid parts and you've got good efficiency, you know, and a good warranty, that's what matters. So good drivers. We've got about 150 diodes in here, and I will fire it up in a minute. But what we have here is, it is a little bit more blue dominant than you're probably used to, but it is all Osram diodes, which is interesting because I really, I'm not prepared to make a video on this light yet because I have to actually know what the fuck I'm talking about. I know that the red Oslons, I know what those do. You know, I've seen those and I own some of those. But I don't know much about the Osram whites. The UVs actually, I think those are the only thing that aren't Osram, but the other 120 some odd diodes are Osram. And it's got these little individual sinks. And I've seen their FLIR data, and if you look at the back, it has the it has a panel like an active panel, but this is completely passive. And my first question was, why not just remove the panel? Well, they need IP rating for greenhouses, which as an LED company, that's how you make money. You don't make money selling one-offs to guys like me that are going to call you every week and ask you questions. You make money by selling 200 units, and you need IP rating for that in a startup, right? So I asked him, I said, well, what does your FLIR, forward-looking infrared thermal data, look like? And they showed me, and it was actually pretty good. This thing with this passive convection current that's running up through these grooves here, it actually works pretty well. Also, the fin heat sinks that are in this thing are serrated fins, and the serrated fins, when it comes to fin heat sinks, is basically what you want. So we'll hang this up in my room, and it uses 500 watts, and we'll hang up the canopy. We'll hang up the canopy 10 on the other side of it, which is a DIY equivalent. That is expensive to build. It's probably, what did I spend on this thing? No, I spent like $1,400 building this DIY light, maybe more. And I'll detail to the penny every screw and every washer. But we'll hang up 2 lights that are price comparable, DIY at 600 watts versus this thing at 500 watts. And we'll run them through the paces, man, because that's what we do. We hang up lights and we grow herb and we see, what the fuck is going on. So let me just quickly, bear with me for about 20 seconds. I'm going to grab a power cord. We're going to plug this beast in. Just 1 second. And we're back. Yeah. Jaguda, they have a light demo program, I think. Yeah, this is the light demo program. And I respect companies that, aren't going to give you lights for free. They'll give you a discount. Some companies that I've talked to that have emailed me have said, hey, we like your videos, we like your style. We will give you a discount, a pretty handsome discount on one of our lights for a review. And I might do that with some of these companies at some point, but I don't know, man. When you get a bunch of free lights, you feel a certain obligation to kind of talk them up, and you feel an obligation. You become when someone gives you a free product, you kind of become friendly with that person when you're emailing with them and stuff. For a guy like me or a guy like Gene or Mr. Tight or somebody, and you don't want to. You're not going to take a big shit on their product, so you can't quite be as honest as you would want to be. So when you have to put your credit card down and pay full price within reason for a product, it gives you a little bit more freedom to really analyze it, and you don't really have to censor yourself as much. And that for me, I think is pretty important. I don't like to shit on people. I think the only product I've ever really taken a big shit on is Kind LED, and that is warranted. I won't go into that here. But I like to be able to be really honest about things I like and don't like. And when your own money's at stake, that allows you and affords you that option to be honest. So enough blabbing. Turn the fucking thing on. Okay, let me, let's find a plug. Here we go. So I'll turn it on facing away from the camera, allow the camera to adjust to the spectrum. And then I'll turn it towards the camera, and we can kind of go through some of the different spectra. I'm going to go to all off here. Okay. We are on. How much juice do I have running? On this circuit? I don't know, dude. When you're a fucking grower and you got a 100 amp panel, not a 200, you got to be careful. So who's with us here still? Toby has a Woody. That's great to know. I get Woodies all the time hanging around LEDs. Jaguda, Shep, what's up, player? Jay Closet Grow, what's up, my man? What have you missed? These guys will fill you in. We're just talking about lights that use discrete diodes. Everybody knows I love COBs, and I think that they're cool, and they're easy as hell to use. But, discrete diodes are coming along in their efficiency and efficacy, so that's what we're talking about. We're talking to the guys that just aren't interested in DIY. They want the warranty. They want to buy 20 lights that they can plug in and hang up, or they want to buy 1 light. So that's what we're talking about. Okay, shut up, man. Okay, so let's go veg spectrum. Okay, and let's see what can we do with this camera so that it shows. Okay, so veg is a combination. Dude, this isn't going to show up for dick. I'm going to have to do a video on this to really get it to show. But what we have here is a, let's see, 6 blues and 2 whites for this channel. So, yeah, let's see. Are we? Okay. 6 blues, 450 or 460 blues to 2 what appears to be neutral or warm white. So, and that's times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 48 blues and 16 whites is on the blue channel. They're calling this their veg channel. Now we have the flower channel, which is a very Apache Tech type of channel. It is, yeah, it's a 50-50 ratio of warm whites to 660 reds. And these are the Osram, Ozolon, Hyper Red top bins. So that's your 50-50 Apache ratio, and that's why I brought Apache. And thank you, Greengene, for coming in on the discussion. You know, that's why I brought Apache into the mix, because this is Apache. This is an Apache spectrum, other than the Kelvin rating on the white diodes being a little bit different. Nichia has a new UV that is the same platform as the Apache diodes, the 219Bs, same solder pads as Cree, so it can be used for the Cree boards. And this very well, I don't remember what the name of this UV diode is. It could be anything. But so there's that, okay? Now here's what's a little bit interesting and possibly a little bit off-putting. So these UVs are like a 385 or 390 nanometer. So it's man, it's so close to being actinic and not at a UV. Like UVA, like Gene's saying, is 365 UVA. These are, okay, I'll tell you what, let me get the spec sheet. What are these? These are 470. Huh. Well, I can't tell you exactly what they are. Yeah, dude, they're a 385. They're a 385 nanometer. So 365 is like properly in UVA. 385 gets you pretty much almost into the actinic range, which you guys that know reef tanks and saltwater corals and stuff, y'all know all about actinic and fluorescence and biofluorescence and luminescence and stuff like that. But so these are kind of a violet, violet just outside of the PAR range, under 400. And let's see what it looks like with all the switches on. Yeah, we're getting there. It's just I'm too much of a long-winded talker to turn everything on, and we are going to do that. But this is, it's interesting to have your UV channel with a mixture of neutral and warm whites and UV. UV does not have separate control, and that's because there's not a separate UV driver. So, okay, boom. So there it is. Let's see here. Let's let the camera focus in on that. So it's interesting because it's a lot of blue, but we know that if we go back to what Cree is saying, you can get a good efficacy out of these blues, out of these modern blues, 2.3 micromoles per joule. Now these are Osram, but you can get efficacy, you can get photon quantity out of blue. And we know that the peaks for chlorophyll A and B are fairly high in the blue range, but you don't see a lot of blue dominant products. So the question that I think we'll have to answer is, does this product have enough warm white, neutral white, and red to give us the photon density that we need for photosynthetic rate, while offering us the blue that we would want for photomorphogenic effects, and the actinic or UV that we're going to want for the photomorphogenic effects like terps, trichs, oils, etc. So it's I don't know, dude. When I saw this thing, I thought, okay, there are going to be a lot of products on the market that are going to be coming out modular over the next year, especially with Cree introducing that document. But here's one that I can get today that I can hang up, and with the Canopy 10, I'm evaluating white COBs with a shitload of red. This is evaluating a white a white dominant discrete diode product with a shitload of blue. And so I don't want to hypothesize too much without actually using the product, but I think we're going to see some interesting things when it comes to quality, because everybody knows those 10K finisher bulbs that have the actinic and the blue, you know, that are from the reef tank world and the aquarium world. Everybody knows what those can do as a finisher bulb. It's documented on Instagram with the HPS and metal halide growers. So is this the equivalent to that? You know, is this the equivalent to like a finisher type of fixture? So I think it's cool. I'm interested in it. You know, it's not costing me anything to test. And if the results are cool and the results are badass for either quantity, quality, or both, then I think we've got a good fixture on our hands here. And there are guys willing to pay $2,200 on an Apache, which has been proven to be an excellent fixture. So at $1,695, it's a significant savings over an Apache, but it is more expensive than a Fluence, and probably more expensive than what a Spectrum King SK600 is going to be. So, so yeah, it's just, you know, it's all in the name of science, guys. I'm not getting into bed with any LED company to where I owe them anything. I mean, like even with Cutter, I could cut ties with them tomorrow because I don't make money off of those kits. It's just a way to say these heat sinks are drilled for this product that I grow with that I know works. So I'm about you. I'm here for you, and I'm here for me. I just want the truth. I want to know what works. And now that we know what diodes work, you know, what diodes work for photosynthesis and for growing quantity, like the CXB3590, the 3070, the Citizens. Now we need to look at what spectra will offer us the photomorphogenic effects that we may be searching for that higher quality bud. Because grams per watt, dude, that I realize that posting grams per watt videos is how I got my channel popular. But you guys that are in this chat room right now, you guys, you're over grams per watt. You know grams per watt is just for EPing. A lot of people know that, and I've known that for a long time. It's about the quality. You know, we've got to get the quality medicine, and we've got to be able to grow it, and we've got to be able to identify what kind of lighting is going to give us the dankest, best flavor, best terpene profiles, highest THC content, CBD content, and that's what we're going to be doing here over the next couple months. And if I have to take a hit in grams per watt to do that by, you know, using some color diodes and stuff like that, then I'm all for it, because I think you guys can agree you'd rather smoke quality over quantity any day or night of the week. So, wow, I feel like I've been talking for a very, very long time. Let me do just a little wider shot of what's going on here. Okay, awesome. 5-foot USB cord for the win. So here we are with this 42-inch Urba Spectrum Fox 500. It is, 42 inches by, about 14 inches? We'll get some more specs on the video. And if you look at it next to the Canopy 10, which is only, 38 or 40 inches by 40, it's, it's comparable in length. Obviously, I build fixtures that are real spread out, nice even, par map and stuff. And we'll get par numbers on the Canopy. And I'm going to actually let you guys go here in a minute, because I need to work on this fucking thing. I need to get this working. I need to get the files. Okay, so this canopy panel is a little piece of metal. I came up with a file to water jet cut the holes and the canopy name and stuff. I put a sticker on it. That's a file that I have. That's a file, a water jet file. And so if there's somebody that's really inspired by this light and wants to build one like next week, I can't offer you the metal cut. I just don't have the resources or time. But what I can offer you is the files. And I can give you companies that can take the files, cut them, and ship them to you. So, if you like this thing, the goal is to make a video that, you might have to jump through some hoops, but you'll know exactly what's in it, exactly the size of all the parts, all the links to where to get the parts, and exactly how to build this thing if you want to. So that's the goal. That's what I need to get on, and that's kind of what's next for the channel is getting you guys that stuff. And then I'm just a guy in an apartment in a kind of shitty car. I don't have a lot of the resources to manufacture stuff. So I'll get you there, but it's going to be a while before I can sell these, these metal panels and stuff to you guys. But I want to, I want to do that. If I can get the resources and get the right partners to do that, then I will do that, because I think it's going to be a pretty compelling system, especially once we see the results. And if you don't want it to look this pretty, I think you could do it cheaper than I've done it. So let me just catch up on chat with you guys. Jaguda says, top shelf only is what I want, like you. Yeah, exactly. Grams per foot per day. Yeah, grow, mow, and mow. You said it. What is the weight? What is the square footage? And where's the time component? Dude, you said it, brother. Weight per, like, that's your limitations. My biggest limitation is time. My second biggest limitation is square footage. My third biggest limitation is how much juice I can pull. So that covers it, man. You said it, bro. I couldn't have said it better myself. Shep DGC, OG, Soja. Can't wait to see you try out that light. Looks intriguing. Yeah, I was intrigued, I was really intrigued by it. Gene's a big believer that high energy blue results as much as low nanometer UV. I'm a believer in that too, because high energy photons in the blue range that participate in photosynthesis also participate with photomorphogenic effects and stimulation of accessory pigments, whereas the low nanometer UV light is outside the power range and has a lower YPF, yield photon flux. So I agree 100%, Gene. I agree. And we're going to see it. We're going to see it. I don't think many watts are dedicated to the UV because there's not many diodes in it. But it'll be nice to spice it up. Kilowatt, thank you so much, dude. I like you a lot. And I enjoy hanging out with you on all the various media. Shep, same for you. Jay Maestro, Grow, Mow, and Mow. All my boys in the DGC, dude. I really, really enjoy just shooting the shit with you guys every day on Instagram and everything. So let's see, Christopher Barnes. Well, let's work on getting you those resources. Yeah, I think it is kind of time for me to maybe step out and ask for some help from some people. This is an open source project. I don't want, nor am I interested in like creating a business to sell you flat pieces of metal. I want to give you the designs for free, and I don't have time to be shipping out metal and orders and dealing with customer service. So maybe we can find somebody together that can just make them for us. Hydrojet cutting is expensive because you pay by the minute. If I have to, I could get a guy to help me mill a stamping die out of steel or hardened steel, because pressing these, like using a hydraulic press out of aluminum, is going to take 1 second per panel instead of 3.5 minutes at $2 or $3 a minute on a water jet. So we could do. There's ways we could do it cheaper. I just don't have the manufacturing experience. So we'll get together on this. If the Canopy 10 really just fucking knocks it out of the park, and those brackets and the 80/20 extrusions are viable in terms of cost and ease of assembly, then I'll move forward with it. But I needed to build a light and see if it worked, see if the platform worked first, And then it's you can buy whatever components you want for this system. You can buy the Cutter heat sinks. You can buy the Pacific Light Concepts heat sinks. You can buy Northern Grow Lights. You can even go to newegg.com and put $10 active Arctic Alpine 11s or 64s in it. So you can do whatever you want with the platform. That's whatever your budget is. You want to do 6 cob build, whatever. That's what I want to do. So Grow and Mow, email me. My cousin has a water jet and full machine shop. Yeah, Grow and Mow, I think I owe you. I get a lot of emails, and I try to answer every single one. I don't know where we are, if I have responded to your latest email about your setup or not. Grow, Mow, and Mow is thinking about, I think it was 1750 milliamp CXB 3590 setup, looking at about 1,000 ppfd for his, was that an 8x8 you were running, Grow, Mow? We were communicating about that, but I will email you. I think I'm going to work on my light for several hours today. Presto1. Dude, thanks a lot for doing the chat room wrangling. I really appreciate you, hanging out and really helping me out. I think I've seen some of your comments, but yeah, guys, I'm out of here unless there's any other questions. And follow me on Instagram. I thought Instagram was kind of lame for years, Oh, that's right. It's Grow Mo and Mo was doing 72 volt. He was doing 72 volt CXP 3590s, okay, at 1050 milliamps. And so if we take that, you know, rough math, 36 volts, no, derp. Let's take 71.5 volts, which is probably about what it'll be. I don't have my spreadsheet open. And let's multiply that by 1.05 amps. So that gives us 75, yeah, about 75, 76 watts per diode. And he was doing, what was it, 20? Was it 20, man? Fuck, let's just say 20. Was that right? Was it 20 or 30? Anyway, whatever. But yeah, he was saying, okay, I've looked at the CXP 3590s. They're meant to be run hard. You guys a lot of guys run them soft, but why don't I start out pushing them pretty hard because they can take it. They're designed for it. And then let's get some grows going. And then later when I can afford it, I'll just dim the 1050 drivers and I'll add more COBs. And that, dude, it's such a viable and great strategy. And it's really where I wish I would have started, because I could have filled more space with less money and then added to it rather than like I'm doing now where I'm like rebuilding all my lights, you know. So anyway, that's it. I'm out, guys. I'm donezo, man. This shit went for almost like 2 hours. So I gotta get it up on YouTube, and then I'll try to pull it back and edit it, or I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I got some editing to do. So you guys are cool, man. I really enjoy fucking 99.9% of you guys, and I hope that I have the opportunity to meet with you all at some point at some cannabis cup or some kind of festival in the very near future. So if you guys are going to any cups or any lighting technology industry events or anything, please let me know. I get so stuck in my own head sometimes that I don't reach out and look for events. So yeah, I know DGC Cup is a long way away. I want to do something this summer. I want to hang out with you guys. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you guys very, very soon. All right, okay, so see, that's what I did last time. I said take it easy, and then I looked like a huge dork because I didn't know how to stop my stream, and I still don't know how to stop this fucking stream. Is it down here? This is so embarrassing. Go live. Go unlive. Where's the button? Fuck you. All right, I'm just gonna unplug my computer. This happened to me last time, and when I watched my own stream back, I was like, dude, you're a fucking dork. All right, fuck it. I'll just close the thing down. I'll just, where's my flamethrower? I'll set my whole computer on fire. All right, go home. Go away. The stream is over. The stream is over. Get out of here. There's nothing to see here. There is nothing to see here. I'm assuming at this point you've all listened to me and you've gone away. Live. Maybe this does something. No, I'm not live. I want to be not live. Fuck it. Peace.